Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. I am Carolina Doe. I am very, very, very happy to be here with you in this virtual space. My pronouns are she and hers, and I am the Community Engagement Associate here at Playco. Today's table talk is going to be on artistic rejuvenation, and we have three amazing human beings that I am very grateful to be in conversation with. If this is your first event here with us at Playco or the Play Company, we were founded in 2001 by founding producer Kate Lowald and commissions, develops, and produces new plays from the US and around the world. To date, we have produced 37 new works from 14 different countries, and so we are a very global theater company. Um, we're based in New York City on the Lenape-Hoking homeland of the Lenape people. Even as we celebrate our ability to make contemporary theater today that responds to both our New York City home and today's interconnected world, we recognize that this land was forcibly taken and that sovereignty was never ceded. And we acknowledge the genocide and displacement of Indigenous people. We'll be posting our full land acknowledgement in the comments, and we invite you to share and learn more about the Indigenous people upon whose land you and we occupy. Um, Without further ado, I know we're running behind, but it happens. Life, time. What is time anymore? I would like to introduce you to our panelists today. The first person that I love to introduce you to is Nana. Nana, she, hers, is a queer Thai American director of new work, classics, and devised performances based in New York City. Her work pursues social equity by examining the way culture is constructed and unsettling dormant biases. Upcoming, Nana has a show in the University of North Carolina School of the Arts, Passage, and Maleficent. She has developed new work at Ensemble Studio Theater, New York Theater Workshops, the Sum Collective, the Tank, and Columbia University. Past directing fellowships, Club Thumb, New York Theater Workshop 2050, and The Civilians. She got her MFA from directing from Columbia. Welcome, Nana.
Hi, so happy to be
Hi.
here.
Hello, hello. Up next, we have Rad. They, them is a multi spirit immigrant artist and cultural worker building consciousness between healing justice, system change, re indigenization, and queer futures. Their work has been supported by National Black Theater, Nowness, Watermill Center, Broadway Advocacy Coalition, Super Blue, Superhero Clubhouse, Bushwick Star, Abram Arts, New York Theater Workshop, Shakespeare Theater Center, CBS, The Public, and more. They have a forthcoming book, Meeting the Moment, U.S. Socially Engaged Theater and Performance from 1965 to 2021, co-written with Jan Cohen Cruz, which will be published in May of 2022. Hello, Rad. Welcome. Welcome.
And Carolina's in the book.
I am. Oh my God. Yes, I am. Thank you for having me in the book. Last but not least, we have Cristina. She is a queer Afro-Latin fat babe artist who wants to burn it all down and plant seeds of a just future in fertile soil. They also have the best laugh ever.
It's true.
Seriously, you have seen their work at Jack, Target Margin Theater, Abram Arts Center, Ensemble Studio Theater, Mabu Mines, 59 East 59, Ars Nova, Classic Stage, or three separate but specific bathtubs. They went to my alma mater, Brooklyn College. We're both Brooklyn College babes. Welcome, Pitter.
Hello.
Welcome everyone.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
I just want to start out and say that like when I was thinking about this talk and like we've been trying to do like a monthly series of lunch table conversations very much since I started at Playco November of 2020. Okay, that's the year that it started. I think, or 2020. I don't know. I started at some point. We needed to do some talks, and I was like, well, I wanna have like those conversations at lunch that are so informal and yet like so much information and so much knowledge is passed on, because I feel like, when you're not like a white man, and not a lot of that knowledge gets passed unless you like go to school. And I feel like so much that we learn is like through conversations with each other, and meal sharing is so very important. um and so I thought, like, who can I ask? And you three were the first that came to my mind. And I was like, they're so busy, they won't do it. But then you all did. And so thank you for being here.
Hell
How
yeah.
I want to start. How is everyone feeling in this very moment?
Mhm.
This moment compared to that very moment before. Where are you sitting?
Oh, an overflowing heart and exhaustion and rejuvenation, like this effervescent cycle. That's how I feel in this
Mm-hmm.
moment. Oh, yeah, I'm probably gonna be crying a lot.
That's okay. That's okay. I feel like crying has been hard for me
Hmm.
recently. I think, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the exhaustion that you're talking about, and where I'm like, I don't know if I can cry anymore. I don't know what I'm feeling. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But how are you, Nana?
In this moment, I am doing so well because I am looking at all of your beautiful faces. And yeah, I think I feel that this year, the beginning of this year of 2022, has felt so far like it has been moving at a pretty good pace, which I'm happy about. Um, and and I'm trying to remember the feelings of satisfaction. Like I'm trying to have my body remember, like, this is what it feels like for it to feel like good. Like just not super excellent, not terrible, but just like we're moving. And that's what this feels like. Um, yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
Mm, mhm,
Hmm.
mm. I feel like I'm about to go through a phase of rejuvenation because I just finished a project that I was working on for a month, like sometimes 10, 12-hour days, 6 days a week for the past month. And yesterday was a great reminder that no matter how much technique you have, um, when you surrender to the spirit and try to have fun doing action stunts, mm-mm, nope,
Mm.
nope.
Rad.
So I'm in a bit of pain. I threw up my back filming my last scene of this movie.
Oh.
what were you doing? Like, what was the exact stunt?
I was dragging, so it's like a horror film. It's a queer feminist retelling of The Shining. And
Oh
I
Yes.
was
shit.
Yes.
dragging my friend slash the murderer down a hallway. And I was just so excited and having so much fun because it's unusual to get to act and film with other theater people. And so we
Mm.
both had stage combat training, and we were like, we'd had other fight scenes before. And so we were like, let's go for it. And my
Rad.
my back said no. So,
Oh
I'm just
man.
trying to like undo my internalized ableism
Hmm.
constantly, and like the voice that like got mad at myself for being like, that's what you've been training for, so you wouldn't get hurt. So it was a great reminder that life is
Ooh.
unexpected.
Yo, that humble pie is really something.
A big old slice.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Uh,
I I feel that, like, there is no amount of stretching that I can do anymore where I don't feel something. And there's that thought I have always, the ableist, like, why can't, what did you do? And I'm like, and then that feeling of like, but also I think, yeah, with the technique that you were like, yeah, we've done this so far. And then you like turn your head too fast to the right, or like doing something simple and you're like, all right, I can't. For the
No.
rest of, for 2 more weeks, we're just gonna be like this. We're not gonna do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
But it feels like a small kernel of a lesson that I think a lot of people are learning during quarantine about disability justice, you know, and about how we need to build futures of care and presence of care. It's crucial, you know, because it's like more and more people being pushed to the margins. And
yep.
yeah.
I mean, mindfulness is so essential, you know, like just taking a moment to really think outside yourself and how one small thing can help so many people. I was just reading oh, now I'm forgetting the article, but in regards to disability rights and justice and how everything intersects, and the change between having rounded or square sidewalk corners into rounded ones where you can now wheel yourself up or roll your cart up, or like all these things that, you know, people think were just, oh, it's just because, you know, you have a wheelchair. Like, no, this is for everyone. And if we really took the time to be present in the simplicity of that fact and engage in it with
Mm-hmm.
care. Yeah. Oh, so simple. And yet,
Yeah.
yep.
I want to, you know, this brings me to our first question. Like, really, you know, living in this pandemic, we're on like phase 7 of this pandemic. We're back inside. Um, how how do we, like, how are you all, like, individually, personally, like, working your way through moving through this time with joy when there feels like there is so much grief, and there feels like there is so much uncertainty, and there feels like just the glaring mastodon of white supremacy is like right there. Where are those moments, or how are those moments for us to like ground ourselves in joy and love, or and care?
Hmm. Ah, in that moment of taking that sip of coffee in this warm mug, feeling it just like coat my throat, relish that nourishment. Instantly, I think like that is my first instinct and impulse and of answering like where do I find that? I find it in the most simple things,
Mm-hmm.
and letting it be profound, letting the
Yes.
mundane,
Yeah.
the minutiae be profound, and letting it go. And that's very difficult for me.
Mm.
I love ripping, analyzing, stuffing something into the ground until it's stamped out and buried to my satisfaction, even if it wrecks me. So,
Mm.
having to do that notion and letting myself be present with every single thing that is joyful, and being so present with grief and
Mm-hmm.
gratitude in the same fell swoop constantly, and not running away from it. So I think that the knowing when I have, and where it's so easy to repress, where it's so easy to put things aside, you know, you just get smacked in the face harder with it later. So the presence, the presence, I find relief in that, even in the grief.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that. And I think that it has been, I mean, that feels like it's an ongoing practice of being like, how can I
Mm,
really acknowledge where I'm at right now and what's happening right? to me right now. Um, and then, you know, the following series of questions, which is like, okay, if that's where I'm at, I'm feeling good, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling exhausted, hopeless. You know, it's like I recognize it, feel it, as my like therapist is like, feel your feelings, feel your feelings. I'm like, okay. It's not enough to just be like, oh, I recognize I'm such and such, but to actually, and that includes both grief and joy. Sometimes I also don't let myself feel joy, you know, where I'm like, oh, someone said something nice to me, or like this good thing happened. I'm like, moving on, you know, without like actually taking it in and absorbing it and just like being able to be with it. And I think that that feels hard. You know, it's really difficult to not want um to I don't know, to just acknowledge where you are, and then and in each and every moment just be like, what do I need now? What do I need next? Is it possible for me to give that to myself? Um and sometimes it's not. You know, I was looking at some of the comments, Carolina, that you gathered of the folks who were sharing, you know, the things that they have been struggling with at this time. And it's just like, it's hard, you know, I think it's not true that we can just heal ourselves. No, we can to a certain extent. I think that we can really, there's a lot that we can do to care for ourselves, but there is also this other, we live in a fabric of a community and a society. um, and so, yeah, sometimes it can feel uh, really frustrating to be like, oh, I do know what I need to feel better. And it is completely out of my control to get that thing, or to be able to have access to it. Um, so, yeah, I think to return to what Christina was initially saying, it is the thing that actually, that is like tangible, um, for me, is then trying to like reduce it. What is the smallest thing version of this that I can give myself, that I feel like, and sometimes it is just a sip of coffee, you know, or like, okay, you know, like I could do this small tiny thing. And that's helpful. That makes me feel like I have agency.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it's like kind of like accepting the multidimensionality of our existence, right? That like in this present moment, my physical body in this small act of drinking my coffee is also coexisting with my intellectual understanding of the society and community and world that I find myself in. And I think that one, that like macro intellectual piece that's like almost like subconscious, that to me is like, I'm like, how do we bring that practice of hope and joy into that so that it's like a cultural shift within our consciousness? Um, so like very practically, I love solutions journalism, which is focused not on trauma informed news and media, but it's about like, okay, who are working on the solutions and what are these solutions and what are these experiments looking like? Um, so that to me is like a huge way to combat our own internalized like nihilism, and all the different like chaoses and depressions and things that try to penetrate that consciousness bubble. Um, because speaking of joy as a practice, I'd love to read this quote I love by the badass Miriam Kaba. It's work to be hopeful. It's not like a fuzzy feeling. Like you have to actually put in energy, time, and you have to be clear eyed and you have to hold fast to having a vision. It's a hard thing to maintain, but it matters to have it, to believe that it's possible to change the world. And that ability to like allow those things to coexist at the same time with the river of grief moving through it is like, I don't know, that's how I've been trying to move through this time. Um because then it doesn't feel like we're like gaslighting ourselves or letting society gaslight us, you know, because it's true, like the modern psychology movement is rooted in white supremacy and is rooted in these like patriarchal views, super colonial views of like what our well-being should look like. And it's like, no, that's not meant for us. And so I've learned a lot too through the anti-psychology movement. Shout out to Elise Sayers, who introduced me to that. Yeah, and it's about holding our multidimensional selves and realities all at once.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I feel like another thing is, you know, Carolina, you have this hat that I love that says water your plants. And this, before pandemic, March 2022, I did not have plants in my home because I was like, oh no, I kill plants. I can't take care of them. I'm too busy. I'm out all the time. I am afraid to take care of them. And then of course, yeah, there it is. And then, you know, March 2022, lockdown happened. And over a period of time, I was like, I need some other living things in my environment. And I also was really influenced by the book Braiding Sweetgrass and Robin Wall Kimmerer, who wrote that book, which is just so beautiful. And she speaks so much about how plants are our teachers. And this was the thing that I wanted to come to, which is that like, yeah, looking at one's, for me now, also like tangible small act of like, how am I getting through? I'm like, I have plants. I take care of them and they are my teachers. Sometimes I'm just like, I sit and I look at my plants and I just think about how, like, what is the time scale that they are on? And what are the things that they need? And watering my plants, speaking of, is like, when I do that, I'm like, I'm giving this living being what it needs. Have I given myself, my living being, what I need? Yeah, so sometimes those relational acts, being in relationship with other living beings, also feels like helps me with feelings of isolation and hopelessness.
Yes, yes, yes. I remember when, oh goodness, I remember many of things. 10 years ago now, that's what it feels like. This pandemic has been a decade, because time doesn't exist. Uh, but I was subletting Charlie Von Simpson's place on the Upper West Side. Because, you know, I was going to be traveling a lot during 2020 and taking care of her plants and I've always loved plants and never really had my own aside from like maybe one or two small ones. And the supreme joy and uh, just a sense of well-being of I have something to take care of that also takes care of me and excuse me, reminding myself how much I need to return to the earth in and not only of uh yes nature but really like no we're all dust, we go back to dust and speaking to it and practicing more plant magic and old ways, and it's incredible, it's absolutely incredible, and really listening to it. Plants forever, yes please, thank you, land back, please give us clean water, so many things, and then I become enraged, and then here we are.
It took me this pandemic to like, I mean, now my whole living room is full of plants, and like this one frustrates me because I can't figure out why they're doing this thing right now. Like maybe we're not having enough of a humid environment, right? But like, you know, like this plant over here is thriving, it's living its best life. This plant, someone gifted me, like someone sent this plant to me
Yes.
from like bought it from my friend's plant shop, sent this to me, and when it was sent to me, my first reaction was, I don't deserve this, like, oh my god, no, like why did you do this, why did you spend money on this? And having to like take that moment for myself and being like, accept this beautiful gift, that someone bought for you because they thought of you and love you, and also because you did something wonderful, and it's okay. Like trying to talk myself through all of this. And also this pandemic, like also getting a dog, a real like, I'm surrounded by living beings always, but human beings, I think like we forget about the present. I think like before the pandemic, I feel like I was on that like hamster cycle. Like I got to do things I have to do. Like I have to do this, or if I fall behind, it'll disappear, and not really being happy in any of it, but just being like I have to do it. And then like getting Stitch just teaching me like the act of being, the act of like I am perfect the way I am. I don't need to do anything. I just need to eat, drink water, poop, and that's it. If that's all I do with the rest of my life, that is enough. Which is so profound, but also frustrates me because I'm like, is that really it?
Well,
Is that
I don't know. I mean, I think that it's so I think, the other thing I would say, like, I was trying to think about this question about like what is getting me through. I was like, actually having really good teachers is getting me through. So plants as teachers. Also, of course, want to shout out Adrienne Marie Brown and all of her work. But one of the things
Yes.
that I love, that I was listening to is a podcast that she does with Toshi Regan about, which has now moved on to a different book, but was on Parable of the Sower. And they were, it was one chapter, and they were talking about, do you know what enough feels like? Like what you were just saying, Caroline. It's like, this is enough. Like, do you know what enough feels like? And I think that relates back to this thing that I was talking about at the beginning. What does it feel like to be satisfied? To feel I am satisfied. And I want to say that I struggle with this as an ambitious artist, And I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to be satisfied and like happy with what I have. And then I also know that I have ambition. And there is a part of me that actually loves to be challenged, and to feel like I want to reach for things, I want to strive for things. So yeah, trying to find that balance somehow between like knowing what it feels like to be satisfied, and then also um, acknowledging that like there are sometimes like you have to not be satisfied. That I think that's the other part about like rising up, and waking up, is be like, no, I will not be satisfied with this thing. I deserve more. I deserve better. So yeah, the seesaw of that.
Mm-hmm. That all makes me think of, well, when y'all were talking about plants and caretaking of a more than human pal, it made me think of like exercises and interdependence, and how we're so, at least I was very conditioned and shown to be excellent at being independent. And that like that is excellence, is that when you're really good at being independent and satisfied with it and all that stuff, that you have reached some kind of pinnacle of success. And then kind of deconstructing all that in my mind and being like, oh no, we can't have a thriving, healthy society and community if we don't learn how to be interdependent. And I think that like the lessons that we can have with plants first is like so crucial, because it's like they're mirrors, right? They're like mirrors to ourselves and portals at the same time. And it's like, okay, maybe if I can learn how to be interdependent with my plants and with my more than human pals, then I can like start doing exercises and interdependence within my community and like within my friend group, and what does all that mean? Because for me, when I think about is this enough, and am I enough, and my constant trying to discern like what is ambition and what is selfishness, or I don't know, when it gets all mucked up in my mind, I think about that like rewiring of my narrative and like the like decolonization and re-indigenization of like my why. And it's so tricky. It's so tricky. And my therapist is always like, but is that what you want, or is that what you think you should want? So that one's really hard too. The like, what does my body actually desire? Because there is a reality of being conditioned into something. And, you know, what do I wish I wanted, and what's aspirational, you know? And oh, it's so tricky.
It's such a trip. Such a trip. The constant unlearning, undoing, rewiring, and creating new paths that feel so. What is the word I'm looking for? Feel like an attack. It's like, no, this is not what you want. No, actually it is. It's hella uncomfortable, and that's okay. And we can break this down, and that's going to be fine. And look at this beautiful new thing that has been birthed, and being deserving of all of it. And really being so clear in, yes, I I have wants. I have wants, and that is not a shameful thing. And there are so many things in place that make it very difficult to have those wants. And I'm not going to stop trying. It is work. It is work to have hope. It is work to keep striving to be better, in not just of like I'm the best, but better of how we move through this realm and how we engage with one another from a place of love, really choosing love versus fear. I really believe every single choice we make comes from either of those two places. And oh, yeah, really wild. Oh, I really want to just be in a room with you all, having some sort of beverage and cornbread.
Yes.
Because Carolina mentioned cornbread before.
Oh yeah, I was telling Nana and Annie before we went on live, like, so when I moved up to New York City to pursue acting at Brooklyn College, I knew no one. And I'm from North Carolina and we have cornbread, but I never made cornbread because I just bought cornbread from, like, you know, wherever. And Christina brought in cornbread one day. I don't even know what it was. I like whatever it was. And I think it was like one of those days, or, you know, one of those days of many days where I constantly felt like I don't belong in this space and I shouldn't be here. And, you know, being offered that cornbread and being offered it with that your laugh, you know, was such a like this joyfulness. And it made me, now I'm thinking back at it and I think about like how many times I made decisions from fear for survival, you know, because when you're constantly like running away from something to escape, you make decisions based on fear, and that fear becomes normal. That fear is what you're conditioned into thinking is normal. Yep. So when someone gives you something in love, it actually feels like an attack. You know?
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
It feels like, oh, wait a minute. And then the work, you know, is to love, and it is so hard because it is so scary, because I feel like sometimes love is a choice, like hope is a choice. It's work. And it's also like really having that lack of fear of having it be reciprocated. I feel like that's what I'm learning about love for myself, is what is it like to love something with your full heart, truly, not expect anything in return, and not fearing the break, not fearing the heartbreak, you know?
Yeah. I hear that, but I also feel like I actually, and this is speaking for myself, I feel like I need reciprocity. I don't know. I need reciprocity. And that reciprocity it doesn't have to look like another person or thing or, that action is flowing back to me, but there can be a reciprocity in being like, I am the energy that I have poured into a thing, there is something that I'm receiving in return, whether it's my own sense of satisfaction of having committed to something, or nurtured something. But I think it does feel important to know for me to be like, I need something back. It's not good for me. And this may also be my own conditioning and background to be like, to love without wanting something in return.
I feel
That's how
that. I feel that. For sure. No, please, please.
No, I was like, I feel like that's how I feel with this industry, with acting, with theater, is like loving this so much, loving the form of storytelling, of being in community and needing that reciprocity back. But how at some point, like getting it on my terms or getting it in the way that
Mm-hmm.
feels right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it makes me think of like the difference between love and altruism and service and like work. Because sometimes I feel like when talking about theater and the theater industry and work won't love you back, I'm like, yeah, but it's an industry. It's like different from when we're making with people we choose to make with, that we love, that we want to continue building with, which is often the only time I'll like work for free because it doesn't feel free, because it feels like there's this like actual reciprocity of some kind of exchange.
Yes.
But which is why I feel so strongly about like union power and labor power when we are working within an industry. And I think a lot of people maybe aren't able to discern the difference. And so then there's this like, these cycles that just keep repeating themselves of exploitation and abuse. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but
It makes you think of the choices that we make in regards to like where do we put our energy, what are we receiving back, in these choices of building with community, with friends, building within an industry, having to have real clarity on that. And I remember, who knows what year it was now, but still being at the Flea, or it just really just right at the start of the Flea, knowing like, cool, I'm in school full time, I'm working full time, I want to be in this company, and I know that I'm not getting paid money wise, but I'm being very intentional with what other ways I'm getting fulfilled and paid in that way, and saying no to things. So like, this doesn't serve me. Like, I need to work 2 other jobs. You need to just tell me if I'm in the show or not. Like, stop wasting my time. And taking that same attitude with in every aspect of the entertainment industry of like, we can't ride on this sense of, oh, family, da da da. Like, no,
not here.
you know, like and there can be, this beautiful sense of belonging and these beautiful relationships that come within it, but it is having to be very real. Like, this is an industry, and say what you need and leave when it's not there. And I know it's harder than or easier said than done. That's the phrase that just escaped my mind. But so necessary so that you can keep pouring into your own cup, so that you can keep coming back to the place of where am I being fulfilled, and mourning when it doesn't happen the way that you want to. And that's not the end. There's so much. We are a hurling rock in the universe. Everything is fine. And that truly, when everything is crazy, I'm like, great. We are dust in the cosmos. I'm good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I used to go to Prospect so the summer of 2020, Sometimes I would go to Prospect Park, and I was listening to an audiobook at the time called The Overstory, which is about the relationship between humans and trees. And I was just, it was nice to sit in the park, to look at all the humans doing their thing, and then to look at the trees and again be like, different timeline, you know, and to just acknowledge that. And that was comforting, actually, to be like, okay, there's a different way to experience time than the way that I am feeling it in this moment.
I wish we would move on tree time for some artistic processes.
Yeah.
Or closer to it, you know? I've been thinking lately about like the boundaries we cross with ourselves, like psychological and spiritual boundaries we like ignore because of the rush. You know, and like the invented scarcity of time of certain creative processes. And I'm like, is there a way that we can prevent this or talk about it sooner? And sometimes it's some people are so good at care that like it doesn't feel like you cross that boundary, even if it is quick, rare. But sometimes I'm like, is there a way we can like, because there's like so much stuff about harassment and people are working on anti-racism, and I'm like, what about the like deeply scarring, you know, spiritual and psychological everything that can happen when we open ourselves up like that? And that's what tree time made me think about. And that kind of grief of like because we were running on that hamster wheel before, and I felt like I had a thicker skin before quarantine and I could tolerate so much more of that bullshit, and now I can like feel everything so much deeper, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to stand for the same like spiritual and psychological mistreatment that is just so rampant, even from other artists of color. You know, we don't know it because so many of us have been taken away from our cultures that we just repeat white supremacist culture. And I'm like, that's slowing down. It's slowing down.
Major. Had to hold both of like the to slow down and know like these the gentle containers, for lack of a better phrase, of great, for instance, we're here for this allotted amount of time, and that it's not a do this, but just like, great, beautiful, we can be here and we have to move on to the next thing, you know, like the the slowness and care, major necessities.
Yeah, it's like also knowing that in this whatever time that we have to, whatever this time is on this whatever calendar, it is 12:29, and at 12:30 we lose Nana, or we say goodbye to Nana for a little bit, and and the hope, you know, and the hope that this is a conversation that continues on, because I feel like we never really get this chance to like really slow down and talk about these things in an art context, when the other timeline that is running is like, you know, productions have to still go on, these nonprofits have to spend the money by the end of the fiscal year, we have to do something to keep our subscribe, like all these things. But at the end of the day, it's like, what is the role of the artist to our community, whoever that they are that we choose to build with? Because that has to be in some way, like you were saying, Rad and Christina, like we have to know what it is in order to choose when we take part in the industry, and why. Why do we do that? The why is so very important. And
I do have to go. I'm sorry, but I'm so happy to have been here, to have shared space with all three of you. I want to take a moment just to shout all three of you out, and say, like, you know, it has been when I am able to witness the ways that each of you are in the world and the ways in which you share that with us, that feeds me and that gives me inspiration and that helps me feel like I'm not alone and I can continue to carry on, that there are other sparks, other ways of being, other ways of being fed. And so that feels so, so precious. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Ditto, Nana.
A gift, really.
A gift, a
Uh,
gift, a gift.
Enjoy.
mm,
Thank you.
have a beautiful rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Um, so I know you have to leave soon, Pitter, and we have to end this chat soon.
Yeah, maybe we should let's wrap up so we're not. I don't want to drag everyone on.
Yeah, no, right, right.
Lovely.
Right. I guess what's a good closing out? I want to end in joy. I want to end in something that is what are the things that what is making you laugh?
Ah.
Pitter laughing is making me laugh.
Oh, the futile nature of things makes me laugh.
Mm.
And not from a place of cynicism. Did I say that correctly? Somehow my mouth just like stopped working.
It's
But
okay.
of the of holding the profound space of being cosmic dust, like being nothing, and everything in this moment. And I enjoy laughing at the absurdity of it, and the beautiful nature of, and here we are. How lovely that I can be on this device. Like, what is this magic? And boop 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 this through the cosmic electronic waves and reaching so many people. Oh, and it is just wild and amazing and ridiculous, and that makes me laugh. I choose to laugh. Yes.
What a beautiful answer. That
Thank
sounded like a poem. Someone transcribed that.
I know.
Thank you. Yes, this is recorded. This is live. We'll do
Yes,
something.
yes. I feel like you both have a way with words that is just maddening to me because which is no, like it's beautiful and maddening to me because I always feel like uh, you put into words my feelings that I could only draw in stick figures. Or tell you in memes. Like what's been making me laugh are Adrienne Marie Brown's memes slides.
They're great.
Like that's
Incredible. Like, thank you, Adrienne Marie Brown.
They're great.
Oh,
and I'll also shout out Jonathan Van Ness's new show. I love that sweetheart. They're so sweet. They have a new show, Getting Curious, and it's just so full of joy. And I love watching them give people joy on Queer Eye too. It's just like so authentic and messy and strange, but just like so full of joy. And right now I've been getting a lot of laughs from them.
I have to watch it. Thank you for that rec.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm gonna watch that. All right.
Wow. I love you all.
Love to you.
I love you too.
Yeah.
You know? I'm so glad time and space brought us together. You know, it's so amazing the different journeys each of our individual lives take. Because I remember you, Rad, like one of your like performances at the
that you were
Freeze.
in.
Yeah, for a little
That
bit.
one?
Yeah, blew me away. And I was like, this person is walking on this earth with the presence of a God. And that's how I feel about the both of you. And I'm just, I'm just sitting here in complete gratitude that time space brought us to this magic machine here, and
Yeah.
that I constantly get to learn from you both, learn and laugh, which is which is brilliant. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Ah,
And
Thank
I'm
you for
so glad for
having
the
me.
world to see your amazing words in my book, because you got the words too. So just you wait.
thank you.
This was a
Cannot
pleasure,
wait.
y'all.
Yeah.
Hope one day we can be in person in the spring outside somewhere.
Yes,
Right.
please.
Yeah. We got to take this out into the streets in a circle full of food.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you both go. I'll do our closeout.
Mm,
But have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful week.
yes.
I hope your back feels better, Rad. You use those bombs, everything,
Thank you.
Heal in your time.
Yeah. Mm. Sending so much love to you both. Have a beautiful rest of the day.
Bye.
Mm. Bye.
Bye. Oh, all right. Thank you everyone for sitting with us for this lunch table talk. Um, let's see. Let me do our closeout. As we are wrapping up here, Playco is committed to providing affordable access to our artistic programming, whether it be a main stage production or a lunch table talk like this, and also equitable compensation for all of our artists and guest speakers. The support and engagement of our community, you all, goes a long way towards ensuring that we continue to be able to have these talks. And so, if you're not part of our mailing list or on our social media, feel free to please give us a follow or join our mailing list. Additionally, if you're able to, or if you know someone who's super rich, send your donations to us. Any amount really is a gift. It helps us build these programming and also create more shows that talk to, the global community. Um, before we go, I'd like to invite you to a few more exciting events that we have coming up this spring. First off, we are very, very, very excited to announce that the tickets for our spring production of Will You Come With Me by Ebru Nihan Kelkin, directed by Keenan Tyler Oliphant, will go on sale March 15th, the Ides of March. This will be our first in person show in 2 years. And so we're going to be presenting it at Me Too 580 in Brooklyn. If you enjoyed this conversation, you will probably really, really love Will You Come With Me? Mark your calendars, and we can't wait to see you at the theater soon. Also, we have our month of rest coming up. So this is like continuing with our theme of rest and rejuvenation. So it is a full slate of individual and communal events in February that encourage rest, dreaming, and doing less, which we fondly refer to as anti-programming. Throughout February, me, my coworkers, and some friends will be hosting virtual gatherings with group naps, progressive journaling, and even a restorative brownie yoga session. So if you are free at any time in February, please sign up and join us for a group nap or some baking or some like journaling your way to liberation. And that is all, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.